Hello my fellow readers, in this video I'm going to talk about the Magus of the Library. This is a fantasy series and it is the perfect series for book and library lovers. I make no joke about that. The whole story, which I think is interesting, is listed on the front as based on Kafna of the Wind by Sophie Schwinn and translated by Hiroto Hamada. There's not a book called Kafna of the Wind by Sophie Schwinn. Interestingly enough, Sophie Schwinn is a character in the series. I have the first 3 or 4 volumes. I don't remember how many volumes are out. Maybe it's 5. I have however many books are out of this. I have, yeah, Sophie Schwinn becomes a character in this, and so that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's supposed to end up being that through the interactions that Sophie meets our main character and then tells his story. I don't know, but I know I've seen some comments about that, and as far as I know, this is just Magus of the Library by Mitsu Izumi, and published by Kodansha Comics. But what's this fantastic story about? Because I really did enjoy this, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. This is the story of Theo, this boy right here, and he is a long-eared boy. He has long, pointy ears. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be many other long-eared people there, so I can't wait to get to, like, Theo's backstory about who he is and, like, why this is the case for him. But he is also a poor boy. He and his sister, and I can't remember, I don't feel like she's his blood sister, but I can't remember. I could be wrong. But he and his sister live in the slums of their small village, Amon, and his sister works her fingers to the bone in order to provide more for Theo. Did I say his name yet? His name is Theo. Did I say it? I can't remember. But she works her fingers to the bone to provide for Theo and make sure that he can get, like, his school books and be in school and be a kid. Meanwhile, Theo struggles with the fact that he has the long ears and that he's from the slums, so people misjudge him and mistreat him a lot. The other kids at school often bully him, and really his one solace is the escape through books, and he loves books so much. But because he's from the slums, he's sort of ostracized, and even when he tries to go to his local library in the town, the main guy there, like, kicks him out, and it's really kind of sad because the guy's daughter is actually friends with Theo, and so she'll try to sneak Theo books to read and then return them to the library. It's so sad and so sweet, and all Theo really wants is to be able to read, and so he has these big dreams about one day being able to go off to the big city. All he dreams about is being able to go to the big city, which I think is like Offsock. I don't know. I'm probably not saying that right. It's a weird fantasy word. That's known as the City of Books. It's the big place where the Kafna, or the librarians of this world, get trained, and there's their giant library that they protect there. It's like full of all the books that they possibly can. So I imagine kind of like how the library at Alexandria would have been. It's trying to gather as much as they can of the texts of the world. And that's his big dream, is to one day be able to visit that and see all of the books and maybe read. And he's a very, very smart, bright boy, so that's all that he wants. And one day, his world forever changes when the Kafnas come into town. So the Kafnas travel, or at least like certain groups of them travel throughout the kingdom in order to check on the little local libraries that are set up, so they can make sure that they are treating people fairly and protecting, like taking care of the books the way that they're supposed to, and all that good stuff that librarians do. So they stop in this village, and of course the guy who's overseeing it, that I've already said is kind of mean to Theo, acts like, you know, he's doing a great job. Everything is fine there. He doesn't really need the Kafnas getting involved or trying to check out his books. He knows what he's doing. But of course, they have to investigate. They're doing their job. And Theo himself kind of keeps having run-ins with one of the younger Kafna. I think she's only like 17. Theo is like 10, I think. But she's not like a very old one, but she's good at her job. Her name is Sedona. Sedona Blue, I think, is her full name. And he keeps having like little run-ins with her. At one point, she's left like her horse-type creature. I think they look like horses, but I think they had like horns. I don't know. She's left her like creature behind, and I think is doing like the work at the library. And Theo kind of sees him and is talking and notices that there's a book out there. And so he sneaks a read of the book. And meanwhile, he's discovered by another, I don't know if she's a full Kafna or like wants to be a Kafna, but she's like a small fairy type creature. And I mean, she looks like a fairy. And she says that he's naughty for like sneaking a peek at the book. And he's like, whoa, I just wanted to make sure that the book was okay. I saw that it was left unattended and it's going to rain. So if it started to rain, I was going to take the book to somewhere safe. And then Sedona comes back and they have this whole conversation. And yeah, it's just these little interactions. Like when Theo ends up going back home, his sister has collapsed. He freaks out. He ends up running into Sedona again. She comes back, helps his sister. All the interactions are having a big impact on Theo and what he wants to do with his life. But you don't get the full sense yet. You know, like there's all these like little build up and you're like, okay, when is she going to discover that like he's not allowed to go to the library and he's not allowed to check out these books? That all does end up getting discovered, but yeah, there's all these like little pieces that you're like, just tell her, she can help you so that you can do what you want. The big culmination of this story is that the library overseer, because he's not a Kafna, I think they just have like some like village officials for these really small towns, like look over the collection, but they're not like official librarians. But we discover he's been doing some shady dealings as well, and there was a magic book in the collection that really needed to be like resealed or protected because it's like leaking magic and this isn't a good thing. But he was kind of doing a shady deal with the book. The magic does end up leaking, and a fire actually starts in the library. And I forgot that Theo had borrowed a book from Sedona. The guy thought Theo was stealing a book, so he took Sedona's book and had it in the library. So when Theo sees that the library's on fire, he freaks out because he wants to save that book because he's got to give it back to Sedona. So he like risks his own life to go in there. I can't remember if he had to rescue his friend or if he was working together with his friend, but you know, they end up like her father has to be saved or whatever, and Theo does save the book. Like he like covers the book with himself through the fire, whatever, kid. It all turns out okay in the end because the Kafnas, you know, get the magic contained and it's okay. And of course it all had to happen so that Theo could see the power of the Kafna and be inspired and all that jazz. So that when he wakes up, he enkindled in his heart is this desire to one day be a Kafna, and he does say goodbye to Sedona, who tells him to keep the book and return it the next time that he sees her, which is nice. Yeah, so essentially, I don't know if that sounds exciting at all, but really the story is kind of a slow progression story. In later volumes, we see Theo trying to work toward being a Kafna. So learning any skills that he can, doing his book studying. Really, he's just kind of learning how to be a good person overall and not let other people or their negativity and their misjudgments about him affect him. And he's wicked smart. Like that's what you see too, is like how smart he is. He picks up languages very easily. I feel like he's also very like empathetic, so he very quickly can understand a person's motives or you know, learn communication with them because of his skills. And it's just an intriguing character. Plus, you want to just see him become a Kafna and find out what's going to happen. By the end of whichever volume I have, I can't remember how far up it is yet, there's something deeper going on. And that's all I'll say. And so it ends, the final one ends with like this twist where something's going on. And I'm very intrigued to find out what happens next. Because where it leaves off, you are definitely pulled into the story in such a way that where is this all going to lead? That's all you can think is like, where is this going and what's going to happen? And I think the journey so far is very well worth it. I don't know of anything that it reminds me of, but I know that it is so great if you do like that idealism of libraries, which obviously I do, but the whole thought that it doesn't matter what your status is, what your background is. A library is an equalizer of that, where everybody has the right to entertainment and education. You come here, you find what you want. You know, we let you borrow it freely. Some people may abuse that, but we don't stop providing that just because of it. We work toward assisting them, and hopefully one day they will want to, you know, make sure that they return all the items and they treat them with care. I don't know. So if you like that idealism and following someone on that journey toward that kind of idealism where you treat people equally, then you probably like Theo's journey. Also, if you like people who like being like if you like people who like being smart, but not in like a negative way, but like that, just like his pursuit of education and being the best that he can be. If you like that kind of character who is kind of always seeking a higher self and like how he is and treats people, then I think you'd like this journey. I know that I did. I was surprised by how much I did because I was like, oh, is this going to be boring? But I don't think it is. I like following Theo. I like seeing him grow, you know, from a little boy who is downtrodden to a young man who is actively pursuing, like doing his tests and wants to be a Kafna and pursuing his dreams, and why books in the written word mean so much to him, why text means so much to him, and why it has value for the world. I liked seeing that because I think that is something that some people are sort of forgetting in this day and age, or they value just that everything is like online, or they get lost on remembering to treat people as people and not just as like fodder for them. And I think this is a good reminder of that and of the value of people. I don't know. I liked this. I liked it. I did. So, Magus of the Library. Check it out. That's it for this video. Until next time. Bye.